I'm Jen Schrader, and this is Behind the Springs, conversations with the people working for you in Colorado Springs, Olympic City, USA. Welcome, everybody. Today we are talking about a plan that will shape an entire area of our city in a positive way. So it's more than just a bunch of ideas. It is a literal plan. It's called the Southeast Strong Neighborhood Plan, and it's the first community planning project undertaken through the Neighborhood Planning Program. So it's going to give us some guidance on the physical development of the area, but also think about things like transportation, economic development, celebrating culture, housing, public safety, public health, all the things that matter to any neighbor. So I have two guests here today. Thank you both for being with me. I'm so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
So I have Paige Salisbury and Kimberly Gold. So Paige works for our planning department, and she is responsible for comprehensive planning, special projects, including this very special one. And then it's all happening in the city council district that Councilmember Gold represents. So thank you for being here.
Southeast Strong.
That's right, Southeast Strong. So thank you both for taking the time. So Councilmember Gold, I'm going to start with you, and let me begin by asking you to define the area that we're talking about before we dive into the plan. Talk to us about, what area of town we're talking about.
Yeah, sure. So first, I just have to say I'm reminded that actually the first time I met Paige, started working with her, was on the Southeast Strong Plan when I was a resident, and we were looking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Before you even ran for office.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was before I had any idea I was going to run for office, but we met, we had fantastic conversation on how do we increase accessibility through increasing language access with Korean and Spanish. So it feels really incredible to be here with her now, and we're crossing the finish line. And I think I should say lots of things about go for gold and the Olympics, but I'll refrain.
No, it's perfect timing to do that. And I think it's really fun that you've been involved in different ways in the same plan, right? As a resident and now as a council member.
Yes, and speaking of the neighborhood, so I live in Spring Creek, and Spring Creek is one of the 6 neighborhoods that the plan references. It's also Pikes Peak Park North and South, Deerfield Hills, Soaring Eagles, Southborough, and I think that was 6. Hopefully my math was working just then.
Okay.
And it was because I was a resident who cared, and I wanted to have investment and involvement with the community plan. And Paige, who didn't know me from anybody, was like, all right, let's do it. And I think that really speaks to the heart of this very first community plan.
Yes, it's really exciting. And so, Paige, tell us a little bit about this plan. Walk us through kind of the timeline, but also how it all got started. Why are we even doing this? Absolutely. Why plan for a neighborhood or a specific part of town like this?
Well, also, I might cry now because this is so heartwarming, and that's what working in the Southeast is. It's like a warm heart. So it's been such a joy.
It's an awesome community.
It is. It's a beautiful community, and lots of support for each other, lots of nonprofits.
And it's not like Kimberly was alone in being an involved resident. You've got a lot of residents who really care.
They really care, and they've been involved for a long time, and they make a difference for their community like no other community that I've worked in, but, we do have a special city.
We do.
And every neighborhood is beautiful. And so,
right. So, of course, we value our neighborhoods, and people might be listening and thinking, we're always planning for our neighborhoods, which we are. Right. But why have a specific neighborhood plan? What is the goal?
Well, and it all began with Plan COS, our comprehensive plan. And we started to identify neighborhoods. There were neighborhoods that were very well defined, and others that were just a subdivision. And so we wanted to include everybody in a neighborhood. So some areas, we grabbed some industrial land and put it with a neighborhood, but that was the nature of that community, and they, drove through that area at different times. So we identified the area in Plan COS as an area that was good for reinvestment. It was a mature area. It is a mature area. It has South Academy Boulevard and East Fountain, and those are mature. It's been around for a long time. They might need some updates. Bike infrastructure, bridge work over there. So we've seen some work, but we have a lot more work to do. And we identified that in Plan COS. And then there was also this great community hub component that was building at that time. And so we wanted to continue to grow those areas of community hubs. So we identified those. And then again, it's an area that needs a little bit of reinvestment. And it has a lot of neighborhood pride.
And you could just say, oh, reinvestment, but it's more about mapping out what does that reinvestment look like, right? And so it's not haphazard, and it's not, and it's community informed.
It is community informed.
Instead of telling this area, this is what you all need.
And that was the most important thing, was to be in the community and then get to know parcel by parcel what we're looking at, because there's a large commercial corridor, but there are all these beautiful neighborhoods, and there's a lot of housing in those neighborhoods. And you can see that on some of our maps when you go to the website. And so that's a great place for information. And then that analysis came to a part where we're looking at roads again, but parks and trails. Those are also something that the neighborhood really cares about and would like to see some reinvestment or just investment in general. And then what are the services and what might be the gaps to the services that the community needs, which also benefit the entire city, because we have the airport to the east. Fountain, is one of our major east-west corridors, South Academy, and then Powers. I mean, when I grew up here in Colorado Springs, we all talk about it. Powers didn't exist,
Right.
Right. So now we have all this, and then we have Banning Ranch, and those areas are new neighborhoods, and they're going to all feed into the southeast and help the economy grow. But we want to preserve that area too for affordability and not push out any residents or commercial retailers.
So, I mean, when you're thinking about this plan, Kimberly, you're thinking, yes, this is important to my district, of course, right? Selfishly, you love your district, but what does this mean for the community as a whole, in your view?
Yeah, I think when we all love our neighborhoods, right? I'm super Southeast, pro Southeast, little psycho about it actually, but I love that about myself.
Yes.
And I hear Paige's passion too, and that makes me really excited. But Paige doesn't live in the Southeast, right? But you hear the passion as she speaks about the Southeast, and I think that's more of what we need as city residents, because it doesn't matter what district you live in or what city council district you live in, what side of town you live in. We're all part of Colorado Springs, and we all bring something very interesting to the fabric of who we are. And when one part of the city thrives, we all thrive together. And that's why I'm so excited that the Southeast Strong Community Plan is the first of 12 community plans.
Yes, don't worry, there will be more, right? Don't get jealous. I mean, get a little jealous, but then know that we're looking at all the areas of town to do this.
Yes. And it gives that community input part, I think, is so important, because when, we always have good ideas, right? And instead of just trying to see what sticks, this is something formal and calculated and data informed, community informed, so that we can all say, as a community, this is what we are focusing on. And if we can do that with the Southeast Strong Community Plan, that means our neighbors up north or west or to the east can also say, hey, here's how we can pitch in and help you in the Southeast too, because it helps all of us rise.
Absolutely. And so tell me about the timeline. Where are we sort of now in this process?
Yes.
And how far do we have to go until, this plan is official, right? We're not quite there yet.
Not quite.
Until it's official. And then what happens from there?
Right. And I wanted to also say that, just a little bit of history.
Yes.
We had a really amazing steering committee. So those were residents and business owners and nonprofit leaders, and then city departments, all of our city departments. We all got together. We talked about what's coming in the future, what is still needed, what are our priorities. So we had to identify our priorities as a city for this area, because it also feeds into other areas, and then what the community needs. and how they would like to see their neighborhoods develop, and they can help us identify those priorities. So that was an amazing
process,
quite a few years. So we did start off in like 2022, and then we had again those public meetings and engagement and events that we tabled to get feedback from the community. And then we had a survey, and that was getting us closer to 2025. It takes a while for these things to develop and grow, and then you have to respond to the time that you've spent, writing the plan.
Right.
And then reworking it with the community. So, and then here we are. We just had, in 2026, in January, Planning Commission, the hearing at Planning Commission, they voted unanimously to recommend to City Council to adopt the plan. And that's our process for these neighborhood plans.
They need adoption by City Council? Okay.
They really should.
Yes.
And they have more sway with grant funding. That's ultimately one of our goals. We have a couple goals, but that's how these plans are used.
Okay.
We can get into that in a little bit. And then we had more community meetings, and just you got to be in this neighborhood, in these communities, to understand and to make partnerships. And that's what we were also able to do as a city, was to strengthen our partnerships with our residents, and that was, one of a great output.
Well, yeah, because
plans.
moving forward,
Yeah.
then now when you're going to implement some of these things, you have all these people on the same page, right? And ready to collaborate.
And
I mean, those are important relationships, I would assume.
Ready to do the work,
Right.
yeah. And then how can we help each other? So that's been great. And did you want to talk about the public meeting that we just had?
Yeah, speaking of all on the same page, pun intended here.
Yeah.
We are a rich community with shared resources, and I think that that was so evident with this recent town hall that happened around the Southeast Strong Community Plan. It wasn't just the Page and Kimberly show. We had Solid Rock Community Development Center there. We had Rise Southeast there. We had the 411 for the 719 there. We had Hey Neighbor there. And I know I'm missing folks, but folks like One Body ENT, resident advocates like Sean Walls.
I love that you can't think of them all.
I'm like,
No, I mean, it's kind of great because there's so many. I mean, this is a good problem to have.
It is.
That we have so many people invested.
And collaboration can take a bit longer.
Yes,
but
when you have so many. Yeah.
But it yields a better product every time. And it yields something that we can all buy in, we can all be proud of. And ultimately, I think, isn't that what we want for our beloved city of Colorado Springs? Something that we can really be proud of?
Yes, that's really true. And you're also, no pressure, but setting a precedent, right, for these future neighborhood plans. I'm sure we're learning a lot through this process, and then we're able to apply that as we move ahead with other ones.
Absolutely.
That's exciting.
I know. We've learned a lot, and we've gotten kind of good at it.
Yeah.
So if you don't live in the Southeast and you're listening to this, you should read the Southeast Strong Community Plan so you can get ideas for how you can engage with your neighborhood plan when the time comes.
Absolutely. And a lot of these things are going to be across the board. Things like transportation, accessibility, those things that everyone wants, parks,
Right.
Everyone wants in their neighborhood. But it is nice, really, ultimately, the goal is to have that guiding document. Is that accurate?
Absolutely.
And so that everybody is, thinking the same way as you move forward. What's your hope, big picture hope for the ideal result of having this plan, Kimberly?
So this plan spans over 6 neighborhoods, and, my elected term, it has its limitations. It's 2029 April. Nobody's counting. But if I had a big, hairy, audacious goal, it would be to connect 44,000 residents. And the reason why I say that number is because we probably have about 83,000 residents per each city council district. So I'm doing some fast math in public, which nobody should do. So 6 neighborhoods, probably about 45,000 people. people. I want to connect our community. We can be so much stronger if we're a connected community, and this plan can be the foundation of that.
So it's literal and figurative connection, right? Is what you're talking about. Yes. That's exciting. Yeah. That's really exciting. So next step is it goes to city council, and then we're moving forward with some of the changes. And of course, I should say that implementation is dependent on funding and some things like that. It's not going to all happen overnight, right? Can you make it happen overnight? Are you that powerful?
I wish I had a magic wand. I wish I had that direct connection to our Lord and Savior. So.
I'm just like, come on, everybody wants to see it overnight. But unfortunately, we can only do so much, right? But
and that's what's been so great is what we've heard from residents is, the city has their spotlight on us, and it feels good. And it's very much appreciated. So that's a great outcome from, my perspective to, highlight this beautiful area and do some good work. A couple cool things that did come out of the plan already. We had, even before the plan was fully drafted, we received as a city a $9 million U.S. Forest Service grant to maintain trees and plant new trees. And so there's a lot of really interesting, fun, exciting is a better word, projects coming with that money and in the Southeast. And
that's sort of a result of shining that spotlight, you would say. Yes.
Yeah. And the analysis.
Right.
When you have a grant you're going for, you say, here's our really extensive, thorough analysis.
And you had that ready because of this plan. Yeah.
So that was great. And then it's not even implemented, but I'm implementing things, and we all are, but the community is what does all the good work. I mean, the city, we do roads and, parks, and Panorama Park was so successful and so celebrated, but it's the community that does all the work, and food banks, and advocating for this tree program in the area, and advocating for grocery stores. We had Safeway go out, and the community needs some more food access. So those are the people doing the amazing work, and I always want to give them credit.
Can I just adopt her as a Southeast resident? Is that okay?
She seems like she is one. She seems like. But this is what we want. We want rah-rah cheerleaders.
Can I give her like an honorary certificate? Or
I think at the end of this, she might deserve that. At least that.
I mean, we should, and I'll put it on my office.
But I do love your love for our neighborhoods. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And of course, your love for your own, which is really powerful. But I hope this kind of instills in people, like you said, an appreciation for each area of the city and how it contributes to our overall quality of life, our growth, our bright future. I mean, we need them all, right? We need them all. We can't leave one behind.
No, that's why everyone's in the neighborhood.
So in the end page, there will be how many neighborhood plans at the end of, what is slated under our comprehensive plan, which is Plan COS?
It's kind of hard to fathom,
right?
Because there are 77 neighborhoods, but actually, since that number, we've added 3 more.
Oh goodness, yeah.
So we have 80 neighborhoods in Colorado Springs. Wow.
So really hard to get to all of those neighborhoods, and quite a few are new. In Plan COS, we call them new neighborhoods.
Right. No, they are.
Or future neighborhoods. And so, do they need much? There's a lot of analysis that was done to build those neighborhoods, either at the developer level or at the city infrastructure level.
But we want to get to those most in need first.
Yeah, so let's find the ones that are most in need and older and maybe lack some services. So we have a matrix that we work off of.
Oh, okay.
And it needs to be updated. I mean, we work on census data. And so...
and we're growing so quickly.
Yeah, and then resident informed data. Okay. So that lived experience, but
and I want to encourage people to that this feels like a lot, and it is a big plan, and so this is just a high level look that we're all giving everyone. And I want to encourage folks to go to our website. It's coloradosprings.gov/SE Neighborhood Plan, Southeast Neighborhood Plan. So that's a great place if you want to dive a little further into what it looks like. You can see the entire plan if you want to. You can see the timeline so that you're following along where our are we in that timeline? And then I know a lot of people have been following along anyway because they've been coming to these great public meetings that you've had, and that's been successful.
Yeah.
So please keep diving in more, and then we'll keep updating. So
thank you, Jen.
both for being here and giving us kind of a 101. I really appreciate it. And thanks for tuning in to this episode. Thanks for caring about your city and for listening to Behind the Springs. Have a great day.